Hi everyone, I'm Mikey Stiller and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this live webinar with Bob Proctor where we're going to talk about how you can lead your best life ever and the life you really want. And we have an event coming up, Fourth Dimensional Leadership, and we've gotten a ton of questions about the event and about what leadership is. And Bob, I think that would be a great question for you to kick off this call with. Sound good?
Sounds great. What's leadership? Well, I think people lead when people want to follow them. It has a lot to do, we're talking about fourth dimensional leadership, Mikey, and it's where you're communicating not just intellectually and physically, but there's an emotional factor. It's dealing heart to heart, where you've really got to you have to understand how to connect to the inner part of a person, to the heart, and that's really what this is about. And we're showing how you always communicate on three levels of understanding: intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually, and physically. So that's really where this is. It's a different seminar where we're going into something that is very powerful. It's something Blaine Bartlett and I have put together by working together, the two of us. He's been at this for around 30 years. I've had about 50 years. So we've got a lot of experience in this business, and we're combining that to bring it into the Fourth Dimensional Leadership Seminar.
Thanks, Bob. And I'm interested to know, do you think that there's a difference between leading your personal life and leading your professional life? So let's say someone is not a business owner, they're not in a leadership position at their company, but would the traits of leadership and the skills that they'll learn help them in their life?
Absolutely. Just see, if you can't lead yourself, you're not going to lead others. And so this, first and foremost, it's how to get in touch with the core of who you are, the essence of who you are, so that we're living the life we were meant to live. We all know that we have deep reservoirs of talent and ability within us. We've got potential beyond the scope of our imagination. However, most people are not tapping into it. They're not utilizing it properly. And if they're not doing it with themselves, they're at a loss to how to do it with another person. So the leadership really, it starts with leading ourselves and then carrying that on to another person. We can't give somebody what we haven't got.
And what do you think is one of the key lessons of leadership, or how can you start today? So how can everyone that's watching this webinar right now start right now leading themselves to a better life?
Well, they first of all have to decide exactly what they want, where they want to go. They've got to get that very clear. They should be able to take a pen and sit down and decree exactly where they're going and what they're going to do. And then the same with another person. When they're leading another person, they want to help the other individual do that and then help them get there. See, one of the problems with leaders, it's a common problem that a leader will let another person's results control what they think of the other person. And that causes a problem. If you're going to let the other person's results dictate what you think or how you see them, then you're going to lose the game. We've got to be able to see something that the person we're leading is not able to see. We've got to be able to see them in a position that they're not able to see them in themselves. And then we communicate that idea to them. And that's how you lead people. You lead people to a higher level of understanding.
That's so good. Now, let's say that someone listening to this video has been to some of our past events. Maybe they've been to the Science of Getting Rich or the Paradigm Shift event that we just had in October. Will this event be similar or will it be very different?
Well, I would say there's parts of it that'll be similar because we're dealing with the human personality, but it's how to bring the two together. It strengthens relationships, whether it's a personal relationship, if it's you and your husband or your spouse, or whether it's you and an employee that you're dealing with, or a partner. So it's showing how to communicate more effectively to other people.
And what can they expect to leave the weekend with? So let's say they're coming in and they have their goal and they know what they want to achieve, whether it's personally or professionally. What can they expect to leave with, or different than when they came?
Well, they can expect to leave with a lot more than they come with. What they're really going to do is gain a deeper understanding of themselves and how to communicate effectively with other people.
Now, Bob, you've been studying this for how long now?
57 years.
57 years. That's so great. Do you think that you would have gotten anywhere close to where you are now without strong leadership skills?
No, not at all. You have to learn. See, leadership is primarily communication. It's really communication. And when you're communicating with another person, you've got to communicate with the whole person. Most people are dealing on a physical level or strictly on an intellectual level. If I'm going to lead you, I've got to understand your entire personality just as I understand my own. And I can only lead a person as far as I've gone myself. And so it's basically all in your understanding of how the human personality works, and then working with other people, taking them to a higher level of understanding. And as you do that, you're taking them to a higher level of productivity. See, the trick is to show people how to accomplish more with less effort in a shorter period of time. That's really the trick of great leadership. And that's, I think, what we're really going to be focusing on. Blaine is very, very good at this. I've been working at it now. I had to laugh one time. I said it was longer than you've been living. You said it's longer than my mother's been living, Bob. So I've been at it a long time, and that's really what we're going to communicate. I think this is probably one of the best seminars that I'll have ever been involved in, because I'm not only using the talents and abilities that I've developed myself, but also what Blaine Bartlett's bringing to the party.
You know, Bob, I remember a few years ago, I was picking Sandy's brain on leadership, and she said something so good. She said, leadership is making other people feel good about themselves. And I really think that applies to yourself too, making yourself feel good about yourself. And I was just hoping that you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, you're going to make a person feel good about themselves when you're looking at the higher side of their personality and then effectively communicating that to them. If you could see two people together, one person has a much greater understanding than the other. This is the leader and the follower. Now, Napoleon Hill points out, if you're going to be a good leader, you've got to be a good follower. That is absolutely essential. Well, the leader is taking their understanding and they're transferring it to the people that they're leading, or the person that they're leading. And when you do that, what you're doing is raising the person's level of conscious awareness. When you raise a level of conscious awareness, it never goes back. This isn't like memory. When we're talking about awareness, it's a totally different thing.
That is so good. Bob, can you talk just a little bit more for the person who is a business professional about leadership and how this seminar will impact them?
For the what? For the professional?
Yes.
Well, I think what the professional is always doing, they're attempting to raise the bar in a company. They're attempting to raise the profit in a company. And the more productive people can become in a shorter period of time and happy doing it, the better off the company's going to be. And a company is people. I often point out, if we're running a program in a hotel, which we will be there, if we took all the employees out of a hotel, you don't have a hotel anymore. You've got a building that's full of stuff. It's the people that make the business. And so the more we understand people, the more we understand how to lead people, the more productive the company's going to be, the more profitable the company's going to be, and the happier the people in it are going to be. It's a leadership role. All the world is looking for an effective leader. I don't think we ever learn too much about it. Now, what I'm bringing to it is 50 some years of study, and I've worked with some of the most effective leaders in the world. I studied them like a scientist. And I've gained the knowledge by working with these people. That's what we're going to be sharing in the seminar.
Bob, I would imagine that you're going to be talking a lot about paradigms and how they relate to strong leadership. Is that something that you could give everybody just a little taste of?
Well, the paradigm is interesting. See, most courses of instruction are interested in a person understanding something intellectually. Well, you could be wandering around with an enormous amount of information in your intellect, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be acting on it. Our paradigm is the ideas that are fixed in our subconscious mind that control our behavior. And the leader has to be continually working on improving their paradigm, but also realizing when we're communicating to another person, their paradigm is in control of them. We have to show them how to change the paradigm if they're going to become more productive. So the leadership role is becoming, it's much more scientific than it has been in the past. We know more about the human personality than we ever have. Paradigms play an enormous role, not only in the leading, but in the following. And we have to be able to communicate that effectively with people.
You know, here in just a minute, I want to talk a little bit more about the details of the event, the date, the location, and things like that. But I was hoping that you could give everyone one thing that they could implement today to help them be a better leader in their own life.
Well, I think if we're all communicating with other people, you could take, it could be somebody you're working with, or it might be a spouse, might be your partner, and how can you communicate to that person more effectively? There's such a thing, Earl Nightingale used to talk about empathy, ego, balance. We've got to be able to get in their head and see the world through their eyes, and then attempt to communicate from that point of view. We've got to communicate from where they're looking at the situation, not from where we're seeing it. And when you do that, then you're moving the person ahead. But it's according to their level of understanding, not according to yours, but according to the person that you're dealing with. So we want to realize just because we understand something, that doesn't mean the other person necessarily understands it.
Bob, so this fourth dimensional leadership event is going to be in Los Angeles, California at the LAX Westin Hotel. And it's going to be February 17th, 18th, and 19th. Yourself, Blaine Bartlett, and Sandy Gallagher are all going to be speaking at the event. So just really quickly, I was hoping you could talk. I know you talked about Blaine for a couple of seconds. Maybe you could talk about Blaine and who he is, and then also Sandy, of course.
Well, Blaine Bartlett has been dealing in the human personality and leadership roles now for well over 30 years. He does an awful lot of work in the Far East. He's continually doing a lot of work in China. He's done, of course, an enormous amount of work in North America. But he's worked mostly with corporations. This is an opportunity. If you didn't work for the company that he was in, then you might not be familiar with him. We're bringing him out to the public here, and it's going to be a truly interesting adventure for everyone attending, because he's a brilliant guy. There's a lot of experiential learning in this. We're going to have you involved in exercises where you're going to be working with one another, and you're really going to create a tremendous awareness of how to communicate more effectively one-on-one. Sandy, of course, is she's the president and chief executive officer. She's my partner at the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and the woman is absolutely brilliant when it comes to running a company. She's going to be doing parts on the visualizing and on paradigm shift. She's certainly a lot of experience with it, and I think everybody will benefit greatly from that.
Thanks, Bob. And I just want to let everyone know that right below this video feed, you'll see the ticket options, and you can reserve your seat right now. We have general tickets, VIP tickets, tables, and a live stream. We don't have a whole lot of tickets left, so if you want to be there in person with us, I highly suggest you buy your ticket right now. Those will be sold out really soon, and then we'll only have the live tickets available.
You know, that's an interesting point, Mikey, because anyone that is familiar with our company Our seminars are always sold out ahead of time. And then somebody wants in, and of course they're not able to get in because we work at tables. We're not a classroom where you're just sitting in chairs with rows of chairs in front and behind you. We work from tables where you're working with a group of people, and the room will only hold so many, and then it's sold out. And I'm not sure what the complement of this room is. It's probably around 300 or 400, something like that. But the room will definitely be sold out. So I would recommend, if this is something that you think you want to attend, get in, register right now, because in another week or 10 days, it'll definitely be closed. Okay.
Thanks, Bob. And can you just give us a few closing words on how leadership is important for everyone?
Well, I think leadership is important, that we must learn how to lead our own life. Most people are not living the way they really want to live. And if they're not living the way they really want to live, they're going to be hard pressed to teach somebody else to do it. We give it to you on both levels. We're not only showing you how to lead your own life to the direction you want, to go where you want, live the way you want. That's the way God intended us to live. We're given mental faculties beyond the scope of imagination. What we have to learn how to do is use them, and then how to effectively lead other people. And the person that's doing that is the one that's going to have the biggest rewards and certainly going to have a good life. There's two sources of income in life. One is psychic income, the other is material income. The psychic income is the satisfaction we get from how we spend our days. And when you can lead other people to a higher level of conscious awareness, the psychic income is enormous. I get tremendous satisfaction from my work. The material income, of course, is the amount of money you earn. And the more professional you become in your leadership abilities, the more your stock is going to go up. You're going to earn more money. So this is a seminar that I believe you want to learn how to get both, and that's what we're teaching. Mikey, it's been a pleasure coming on here with you. I want to thank you for setting this up, and I look forward to seeing you at the Westin in Los Angeles.
Thanks, Bob.